Hey, what's going on everyone? It is Neo Dragon here. I just want to give you a quick update video since it's been quite a while since I've actually released a kind of official video where I'm actually talking and explaining things to you and letting you know what is going on behind the scenes. Most of you already know I am working on version 1.3, which is a huge update to ZENFORMS Protectors. Version 1.3 is an update for the iOS game, but it's also going to be the first ever release, hopefully, fingers crossed, if all goes well, it will be the first ever release on Android platforms. Now, I'm not going to go into it now. I've talked about it in the past and stuff, and if you're not following the game or most likely watching this video, you already know that version 1.3 is a complete rewrite of the entire game. That includes the game engine and kind of the actual every code that's involved with the game. This is a rewrite of it. So what it is to me is it's technically a new project, like it's a whole new project, its own folder and stuff, but for iOS players, when you get it, it will come just as an update and it will just feel like the game's just got really improved, like it's just come with a good bit of changes and stuff. But I want to show you why it's actually taken version 1.3 to kind of why it's been so long in development. I thought it would only take me 6 months. It's now pretty much over a year. I started this kind of around June of last year, June of 2015. It's now, as I'm recording this video, it's like September of 2016 and I'm still working on it. And I had promised people, you know, oh, I'll be coming out by Christmas last year, oh, I'll be coming out by summer of this year, and it's still not here. So I've got this little kind of demo project just to show you the content creation of it as such. So you might recognize this map if you play ZENFORMS already. It is Glen Hook, which is the second kind of town you'll visit in the game. And I have an NPC here, and this character up here. By the way, I am demoing this on the Mac build. The engine can output the iOS, Android and Mac builds. I don't know what I'm going to do with the Mac build yet, if I will actually kind of put it up for download or what. But just if you hear me clicking and tapping away, it's just because I'm demoing it on the Mac build. So anyway, go back here, you can see this NPC here, the player's here, and if we interact with the NPC, nothing happens. And the reason nothing happens is because I have to tell the game what to do. So if we go back into the project here, this is the project. There's no visual editor, it's just the Xcode. And using code I've implemented in the background and in other classes, it will allow me to kind of make the actual game. So I'm going to just show you this now of how I create an NPC. I have what's called a code snippet in Xcode. I have a full event and it's called Talk to NPC, and as I type that in and kind of tab through it, it will then fill out a ton of code. And you can see here, it's just fill out all this code, and I'll explain it in a bit here. So we have to first set in the event ID, and the event ID is, she's a person and it's +1. And we have to get the NPC object. Now I'm trying not to get too technical with this, but she's what's called a Zen Garden node, which is a node part of the engine, and she is a person. And every NPC, or every character, including the player actually, every character has a unique ID, and I happen to know that that girl or that woman on that map is like her unique ID is 1. So all we do is here we say, if you look, all you need to hear is look here at the where it says people and people +1, and we get her object is +1. So if I was to build and run this right exactly now, what will happen is, I'm spawn a bit away from her here, but if I run up to her, there she is. And again, people are the NPCs in the game, are not all of them, but some of them are randomly generated. You can see here she turns and faces me and says text here, and I click away or tap away on the screen if I was playing on a touchscreen device, and she goes back and faces up at the Zen crystal. Now if we look at this here, we have what's called event stages. So it says global, it says G, which stands for global. It says event stage equals 0, equals 1, equals 2. And what happens is every time what's happening is it's calling like the game basically loops through this code. Okay, so it's kind of, it calls this every time you interact with the event. So the first stage, because it's 0, it basically puts the NPC in an event, it makes her face the player, and then it makes her do a little talking animation, and it shows some text in the message box. After we tap on the screen, it calls the event again, which then hides it slides the message box off screen, excuse me, getting tongue tied, and then it calls it again, which at that point puts her back facing whatever in direction, resets her and resets the player, and basically shows the UI again. So I'm going to show you the actual full NPC here and how we do it. If I want to add in more text, by the way, so we say the first one has we say, if I change the text, I just say text 1. To add more text, so these are just if statements. If you recognize program, these are just if statements. To add more text, I can say event stage setup. So this is how I add code to the game. So I can say message update with talk. We pass in the NPC object with her ID number, and we can call this, we'll say text part 2. And then we have to update these here as well. So we say 2 and 3. So now if I'm building and running again, you go back in. What should happen, assuming I didn't mess up there, I may have. I'm kind of live programming, there's always a chance of error. Again, you can see she's randomly generated. We interact where it says text 1, text part 2, and then end of the event. So this is like a cooking show right here. I actually have a pre-made one event here, which I'm going to show you now in 2 seconds if I correctly delete this event. So it was commented in here, just uncommented out. Okay, bear with me here. I know I'm going rather quiet as I'm just live coding here. I get pretty introverted. So if we build and run now, this is the actual event here. She's kind of a bit more built up, says a bit more things, kind of a bit more relevant to the actual game, of course. But if we go over to her, she kind of talks about the Gaia Crystal. And she says, I'm looking at the Gaia Crystal here. Did you know all ZENFORMS come from these? This Gaia Crystal is owned by the shopkeeper Andrea. The Gaia Crystals grow from the planet's core. And that's there, and that's kind of the event. So that's how long it takes me just to create one NPC. Now, you saw me as I was kind of tabbing through and adding text. That kind of event probably took me about 3-4 minutes, maybe a bit longer. But it's actually quite a long process when it comes to making an RPG and you are creating a lot of events. You can see here, as I said, this class here is for all the events on that map, and so far I've only just coded that one person, and it's kind of taking me about, like, as I said, like 3-4 minutes just to do that. So I know everyone's very eager to get their hands on version 1.3. It's going to be absolutely amazing when it's released. It will feel, if you already played the iOS version, it will actually feel almost like a sequel. It's that improved. If you have an Android device, you know, it's going to feel completely fresh, and it's going to be a completely fresh RPG and a fresh take on the genre. I think you'll really enjoy it. And just stay tuned to the YouTube channel, stay tuned to kind of Callus projects on YouTube. Make sure to search for ZENFORMS and just look through the channel. And look for ZENFORMS on Twitter and Facebook, and keep an eye out for status updates. I plan on doing a blog soon and explaining a bit more behind the scenes on what's happening. And then hopefully I'll be announcing a closed beta, which is basically you'll know then that the game is going into testing. And then not long after that, hopefully, fingers crossed again, and I know I keep saying hopefully a lot, but hopefully the game will get a smooth release smooth update on iOS and a smooth release on Android. So thank you very much for watching, and see you again soon.